last night. Yesterday was an extremely dark day in Ireland. The atmosphere over the country, over the landscape, was utterly toxic. It was ferociously dark and horrible. And it was almost like I can imagine how countries felt when they had been invaded, which we have. We're actually in Ireland under the control of a hostile foreign agent at this point. The Irish government can no longer be considered the legitimate government of the Republic of Ireland. The civil service has basically, through this thing called NEFIT and through the HSC, staged a coup, which has been the de facto government of this country since about March 2020, and is ruling this country like a colonial attache on behalf of major corporations with a vested interest in addicting the entire country to pharmaceuticals. Now, yesterday they did what psychopaths always do, what pathological and oppressive regimes always do. They rolled their dice one too many times and they crapped out. Yesterday in Ireland, now this is a very important video. I would implore anyone who is in Ireland, if you've never shared any of my videos before, I would implore everyone who is in Ireland to share this video to everyone they know in Ireland. And if you're not from Ireland and you have Irish friends or family members, send this video to them, because they're not getting the truth in clear and concise language. They rolled the dice one too far yesterday. We were supposed to announce an easing of restrictions and an opening of indoor dining and restaurants, cafes, and so on. They did a complete reverse and said, no, the restrictions remain in place. How they did this was based on a modeling system by this NEFIT Quango, which is basically, NEFIT must be seen in the context of the civil service in Dublin Castle during the British occupation. These people must be seen. Okay, this is what they are. They are the attaché, the administration of an international globalist empire, operating this country out of their own little quango with impunity. The Irish government are actually terrified of them. We have senior cabinet ministers, a prime minister, a deputy prime minister who absolutely loves them, Leo Varadkar, because he would be one of them if he wasn't in that position. And this is what we're dealing with. That's clear language. This is nothing to do with anything else now. And they crossed the line in the sand yesterday. Firstly, by reneging on all their promises that they would open up. This NEFIT group said that there would be 700,000 people would test positive for the Delta variant. Now, bear in mind that 700,000 testing for positive for Delta variant antibodies is not the same thing. Right now, I can guarantee you that every member of the Irish establishment is reporting this video. All the civil servants are watching this, all the journalists, they're all reporting this now. I hope they shut my channel down. I don't care. This will be saved somewhere else, and other people will save it. The antibody variants, okay, does not mean that those people are sick or are going to die. It just means they've tested for these antibody variants. You have numerous viruses and diseases in you that don't affect you, okay? We have more people in actual NEFIT, the Quango, running all this than we do have in ICUs in the country. And with all this known out there, with all this they've made out, with their same liar's grimace on their face, look for the liar's grimace as long as a smirk. The duper's delight. Remember Hancock before he got caught? Well, we got caught. Now, I was so angry last night, and so many people were angry last night, I was furious. Not because of so much that they reneged on the thing, because I had predicted that, but they actually went as far as saying, and I'm still astounded to believe this, and Varadkar, as of this morning, is still pushing it, from the Celtic Raj, that vaccinated people will get special privileges to go eat in restaurants and cafes and pubs. This is one step away from a yellow star on the unvaccinated. on the unneedlecraft. It's one step away from that. And that is not hyperbole, that is fact. Now, what's shocked them, I think, this morning and yes, last night, is that even people who have been needlecraft, who got taken the needle, were disgusted by this proclamation that they didn't, many of them were like, hold on a second, it's still wrong. You know, it's still wrong. I may have chosen to be vaccinated, but it's still wrong of you to say to my friends, my neighbours, that they can't go and be going to a pub or a restaurant or a cafe because they're not. This is clear discrimination. But I will take this one fucking step serious. Now, Irish people, pay fucking careful attention. I know you've let down this nation horrifically in the last year and a half by being the worst kind of quislings to the globalists that are possible. But, switch off RT for 5 seconds and listen to the next few minutes of what I'm going to say. In this country during the famine, there was a thing called Soupism. You know what Soupism was? Soupism, although it was overblown to a degree, it still existed. Soupism was when starving Catholics went to workhouses and were handed a bowl of soup on the proviso that they renounced the Pope and converted to Presbyterianism. In other words, they were given a bowl of soup to survive the famine if they converted to being a Protestant. It actually happened. The politically correct today will tell you it won't happen. Now, I'm a pagan. It means nothing to me. But even if I was a pagan back then, I would say this is disgusting. This is evil what you're doing to these people. The same thing happened yesterday. It was Soupism too. Clear as day. Clear as fucking day. It was Soupism too. They said to the Irish people, this Nephit occupational force on behalf of the globalist, said to the Irish people yesterday, and so did the Irish media, the Pravda of the globalist, said yesterday, if you take the soup, the needlecraft, you will be given the food. It was as simple as that. It's the same impetus, lack of morality, indecency, and sickening behaviour repeated all over again by the same people, the same culture, the same types, doing it again. I could not believe what I was seeing. If you do as we say, and these same people who were so pro-abortion, and I'm not anti-abortion, by the way, with the whole my body, my choice, well, that didn't apply to people who said, I don't want to really take this needlecraft, my body, my choice. How dare you? It didn't apply to them, and that was bad enough. But yesterday was out and out Soupism. And that's why I'm delighted to see finally a backlash. Restaurants and pubs said we are not going to discriminate against people who are unvaccinated in Ireland. I could not believe it. I was overjoyed when I saw some places do that. Any pub, restaurant, cafe that's openly in social media today saying we will not discriminate against the unvaccinated, give them their undying support for the rest of your life as long as you're still able to eat food, drink beer and drink coffee. Give them your support. Stand with them. And shun the ones who want you otherwise, who want your yellow star and giving you the bowl of soup. Because that's what we were put up to again. That was the offer made on the table last night to the Irish people, and is still on the table this morning with Varadkar. Last week, John Waters got flack for saying that Varadkar was not culturally Irish, he was Indian. I would go one step further than that. I would say Varadkar's not even culturally Indian. If he was in India right now or during the colonial times, he would be involved in enforcing the inland customs line, which prevented ordinary Indians from getting salt unless they paid high excise rates. And what happens to you if you don't get salt in hot weather? You fucking die. He would have been part of the British Raj enforcing the inland customs line on his own people. So he's natural. He's a natural globalist. There's nothing about him that's anything other than that. Okay, so I would like to correct John Waters. You were wrong. He's not culturally Irish. He's not culturally Indian either. He's culturally globalist, and he's showing it still this morning by saying, "Get your jab and have your coffee, have your pint, have your dinner." That is Soupism. We should not tolerate this person under any circumstances. This is what our ancestors fought against this for centuries, for absolute centuries. And then to be told, here's a bowl of soup, here's your food again, here's your, here, do as we tell, here's your bowl of soup. It's absolutely sickening and disgusting beyond words. I cannot, I'm so furious right now. I was the dark shadow that fell upon this land last night was like nothing I've experienced. I think the last time I experienced it was when Bobby Sands died. That was the last time we all thought there was going to be a major war. But that was tonight we did that. And who did it this time? Was it a foreign government? Was it the British? No, you can't blame the British. They were enjoying life yesterday, watching their team win, the English winning England beating Germany. No, it was the colonial attaché of Nephith, the enemy within. How many years on Facebook and everywhere have I been telling you that the enemy inside is a civil servant? Ever since we joined the EU, they have been working for the globalists against us completely. This is why they're all so fanatic. And it has not changed from the day of the G-men in Dublin Castle. It's gone back to that. It's gone right, but they're not there to serve the Irish people. They're there, just like the G-men in Dublin Castle were treating the Irish like scum on behalf of the British Empire. And they were all Irish, the same ones today. They're in Nephith, they're in the civil service, they're in the government, they're doing it today, they're in the mainstream media. And if you can't see that by now, remove your Irish citizenship and get out of this country. Because I tell you something, even people who have been vaccinated were like, no way are you discriminating against the unvaccinated. I was absolutely delighted to see that. It was almost like a racial memory came up into the Irish from the days of the penal laws and the days of Soupism, when our ancestors were told, stop being Irish and we'll feed you. Stop speaking your Irish language and we'll give you a vote. Stop being a Catholic and you'll get a bowl of soup and not die like a dog in a field. It came from the same fucking impetus. What is wrong with you Irish that you cannot see this? Who still cannot see this. This is where that came from. The offer of you being allowed to actually exercise your rights as a human being are being taken away from you with the same impetus behind the penal laws and Soupism. Only this time it's a fucking needle made by a major corporation that hasn't been properly tested. What the fuck is wrong with you? And there are thank God some of you actually, whatever microscopic brain you still had left, actually woke up last night and went, nah, it's a bit too far. Look, we are not being allowed to see the data that Nephith is using to make these outrageous predictions of mass death. The same people who said that the virus can tell the difference between you having a burger with your beer and not. This is what we're dealing with, okay? If the rest of Europe was shut down, we could say they might have a point. The rest of Europe is wide open, more or less. Look at the map. There's a map going around that shows places in Ireland where indoor dining, in Europe where indoor dining are allowed. White, not allowed. Red. The Republic of Ireland is the only country in Europe allowing that. Why? Because a tiny fragment of foreign agents, the enemy within, the diplomatic attaché on behalf of the big pharmacological companies, Nephith, is controlling this country in the same way the fucking G-men did during the time of Michael Collins. This is not hyperbole. This is fact. I cannot believe you can't see this. This is so immoral, so wrong, and so totally against what our ancestors fought and died for to liberate this country. To put us right back into this. It's indefensible what was suggested yesterday. I don't care about him saying, oh, well, have these types of, well, are we just going to let the vulnerable die? Look, people die all the fucking time, okay? All the time they die of viruses, the elderly, the sick, just life, it's sad. Life and death, okay? I would like to see the follow-up to that program RT showed a few months ago, of over 85s being injected in the Helix in Ballymun in Dublin. I bet all of them are even dead by now. And I'll tell you something else. I have nothing against anyone. I'm not anti-vax. I'm not taking this one. My line in the sand is drawn with this one. But I'm not anti-vax, okay? I'm not. This one, I am. I don't feel comfortable about it. I don't like the way it's been pushed as a mandate. I don't like the yellow star penal laws, Soupism aspects of it, firstly. Secondly, it's your body. I respect you. If you want to take it, I'm not going to look down and judge you. That's your own business. But surely, in your heart of hearts, you can tell that those of us who are saying no, or are standing back, or waiting a while, or seeing what happens, surely you can give us some, denying us our civil rights because of this. This is what it's come down to. And thank God loads of you said last night. I'm seeing all pubs and restaurants all over Irish social media saying we're opening up no matter what. Enough is enough, the line in the sand. This is what happened when you have a weak prime minister. Micheál Martin, he's not a bad person. He's a weak leader. He's not a statesman. He hasn't got the balls to stand up to these people. He was so obsessed with becoming. You see, what happened was he was the only leader of the party Fianna Fáil who hadn't been Taoiseach prime minister, and so he was willing to take that at any cost. And that to me is he paid a price that's not worth it. If there's any decency or any strength left in you, disband Neffet immediately and send them packing. I don't care. Listen. Wait, all you bleeding heart types, right? I don't give a flying fuck that Dr. Tony Holohan's wife died of cancer. That means nothing to me, okay? And you constantly giving him a pass because of this. I've had relatives who died of cancer and loved ones. I've known friends who died of cancer. It happens. It happens in life. They have used this to give him a fucking license to do what he wants. These fucking wira screaming Jesuses. Oh, the poor man, he lost his wife. We'll let him be a fascist all he wants. I'm so angry right now, I can't tell you, okay? When I said I don't, I mean, I'm sad the woman died, okay? No one deserves to die of that, okay? I'm not saying he's evil, but that has been used by the marketing aspects. I'm not saying necessarily him, but the marketing aspects of this government, the spin doctors, to give him a buy, or to give the whole thing a buy. He should know about suffering. He lost his wife. We've all lost people, for fuck's sake. Death and living is the same thing. It's all part of the same process. It will happen to us all. This whole thing of that we must stay at home and never go outside again for fear that we might get sick, grow old and die is just the most absurd thing that's been put in our faces. They're irredeemable at this point, okay? The only way that they could be redeemable is if it turned out that this Wuhan thing, this ping pong thing, really was a deadly bioweapon that really would kill billions. And it hasn't happened so far. That's the only reason they could and they really do know this, how dangerous it is. But at the same time, why aren't we launching nukes at China? Why are we not? If Wuhan, if this leak happened on purpose, why is China still existing as a nation? Surely that makes them even worse than the Third Reich and the Bolsheviks put together. Because the globalists are all working together. The countries that still have governments that care about them, Hungary, magnificent Hungary, Poland, Georgia, Belarus, they're declared rogue states. They're declared rogue states. Why? Because their governments still actually work for their people and not the globalists. I want Ireland to be a rogue state. And let's start it with the people.